Have you ever found yourself carefully constructing different versions of your personality, like an actor with multiple roles, each tailored perfectly for different audiences? If this resonates with you on a profound level, you might be an INFJ, the rarest personality type in the myers-briggs spectrum. This tendency to conceal our true selves isn't just a simple matter of being shy or reserved. It's a complex interplay of our unique cognitive functions, emotional depth, and lived experiences that shape how we interact with the world around us. The INFJ paradox: craving connection while maintaining distance. The life of an INFJ is marked by a fascinating contradiction that often leaves us feeling caught between two opposing forces. On one hand, we possess an intense desire for deep, meaningful connections with others. Our natural empathic abilities allow us to understand people on an almost intuitive level, picking up on subtle emotional currents that others might miss entirely. We can often sense what someone is feeling before they've even put it into words, and our drive to help and understand others runs deep in our core. Yet paradoxically, we often find ourselves building invisible barriers, creating careful distance between our true selves and the outside world. This isn't because we don't want connections, quite the opposite. We crave authentic relationships so deeply that we become extremely selective about who gets to see our real selves. It's like having a precious treasure that you want to share with the world, but knowing that not everyone will understand its value. This constant balancing act between wanting to connect and needing to protect ourselves creates a unique kind of tension in INFJ lives. We might find ourselves in social situations where we're actively engaging with others, offering support, advice, and emotional understanding, while simultaneously keeping our own emotional world carefully guarded. It's as if we're standing behind a one-way mirror, seeing everyone clearly while remaining partially hidden ourselves. The protective shield, the complex nature of INFJ privacy. The INFJ's need for privacy goes far deeper than simple introversion or a desire for solitude. It's a sophisticated defense mechanism developed over years of experiencing the world through our unique lens. Our privacy isn't just about keeping secrets, it's about creating a safe space where we can process our intense emotions and insights without external judgment or interference. Think of it like having an internal sanctuary where we can freely explore our complex inner world. This private space is where we make sense of our intuitive insights, process our emotional responses to the world around us, and integrate our deep understanding of human nature. It's where we can be completely ourselves, without having to modify or explain our experiences to others who might not understand. This protective shield has been built layer by layer, often starting from early childhood experiences, where we realized that our way of perceiving and processing the world was different from others. Every time we shared a deep insight only to be dismissed, every instance where our emotional intensity was met with confusion or discomfort, and every situation where our intuitive understanding was questioned, these experiences added another layer to our protective barrier. Growing up different, the INFJ child's experience. The journey of an INFJ often begins with a profound sense of being different from others, a feeling that typically emerges in early childhood. As young INFJ, we often find ourselves picking up on subtle undercurrents in our environment that our peers seem oblivious to. We might notice the hidden tensions in adult relationships, sense the unspoken emotions of our teachers, or understand complex emotional dynamics before we have the vocabulary to express what we're perceiving. This early awareness can be both a gift and a burden. While it gives us unique insights and helps us navigate social situations with unusual sophistication for our age, it can also create a sense of isolation. We might find ourselves wondering why we seem to be the only ones noticing certain things, or why our emotional responses to situations seem so much more intense than those of our peers. School experiences often amplify this sense of difference. While other children might be focused on the surface level of social interactions, young INFJ are often already picking up on deeper patterns and meanings. We might notice the lonely child in the corner while others are caught up in playground games, or sense when a friend is hiding their true feelings behind a smile. This depth of perception can make it difficult to relate to typical childhood concerns and activities, leading many young INFJ to feel like observers rather than participants in their own age group. The social chameleon, mastering the art of adaptation. One of the most remarkable abilities that INFJ develop is their capacity to adapt to different social situations with apparent ease. This chameleon-like quality isn't about being fake or insincere, it's about understanding and responding to the social and emotional needs of different environments and individuals. We instinctively know how to adjust our communication style, energy level, and even our personality presentation to create harmony and facilitate connection in various situations. This adaptability comes from our unique combination of cognitive functions. Our dominant introverted intuition helps us quickly grasp the underlying patterns and expectations in different social contexts, while our auxiliary extroverted feeling enables us to respond appropriately to these situations. We might present ourselves as more outgoing and energetic in a group setting where that energy is needed, while showing our calmer, more contemplative side in one-on-one interactions. However, this ability to adapt comes with its own challenges. The more adept we become at showing different facets of ourselves to different people, the more we might struggle with maintaining a clear sense of our authentic self. It's like being an actor who's played so many roles that they sometimes forget who they are when the curtain falls. This can lead to a deep-seated anxiety about our true identity and a fear that we might lose ourselves entirely in the process of adapting to others' needs. The fear of misunderstanding when words fall short. One of the most challenging aspects of being an INFJ is our struggle with being truly understood. Our minds work in ways that often feel impossible to explain to others. We perceive patterns and connections that others don't see, and we process information through a complex web of intuition, emotion, and analytical thinking that can be difficult to articulate in conventional terms. When we try to share our insights or explain our thought processes, we often encounter blank stares or dismissive responses. It's not that others are intentionally unreceptive, it's just that our way of seeing the world can seem abstract or overly complex to those who process information differently. Imagine trying to describe colors to someone who has never seen them, or explaining a complex piece of music to someone who can only hear individual notes, rather than the complete harmony. This repeated experience of being misunderstood leads many INFJ to become increasingly selective about sharing their inner world. We learn to package our insights in more digestible ways, often simplifying or even diluting our thoughts to make them more palatable for others. While this helps us communicate more effectively, it also means that few people ever get to see the full depth and complexity of our thinking. The emotional depth managing intense feelings in a pragmatic world. The emotional life of an INFJ is like an ocean, vast, deep, and often turbulent beneath a calm surface. We don't just experience emotions, we feel them with an intensity that can be overwhelming both for ourselves and for others. Our emotional responses aren't limited to our personal experiences. Either we often absorb the emotions of those around us, feeling their joy, pain, and everything in between, as if they were our own. This emotional depth is further complicated by our tendency to seek meaning in everything we experience. A sunset isn't just beautiful, it might trigger a profound contemplation about the nature of existence. A friend's casual remark might lead to hours of reflection about the human condition. This constant interplay between emotion and meaning-making can make our inner world feel too complex to share with others. In a world that often values rationality and pragmatism over emotional intelligence, INFJ frequently feel pressure to tone down their emotional responses. We learn to present a more measured exterior while processing our deeper feelings privately. This creates a kind of emotional double life: the controlled, composed face we show to the world, and the rich, intense emotional landscape we navigate internally. The perfectionists burden internal standards and external expectations. INFJ often develop extremely high internal standards, not just for what we do, but for who we are as people. This perfectionism extends beyond simple achievement-oriented goals to encompass our personal growth, our relationships, and our impact on the world around us. We're constantly evaluating ourselves against an ideal that can feel impossibly high to reach. This perfectionist tendency is often rooted in our ability to envision potential both in ourselves and in situations. We can clearly see what could be, and this vision becomes the standard against which we measure our current reality. The gap between our ideals and our actual experience can create a persistent sense of falling short, even when others might view our accomplishments as more than adequate. This internalized perfectionism often leads us to hide aspects of ourselves that we feel don't meet our exacting standards. We might hesitate to share our creative work until it's perfect, or hold back from expressing opinions until we're absolutely certain about them. The fear of not meeting either our own standards or others' expectations can lead us to keep significant parts of ourselves hidden away. The intuitive gift managing profound insights in a skeptical world. One of the most distinctive characteristics of INFJ is our powerful intuitive ability. We often know things without knowing how we know them, picking up on subtle cues and patterns that bypass our conscious awareness and arrive fully formed as insights or gut feelings. These intuitive leaps can be remarkably accurate, leading us to conclusions that might take others much longer to reach through more conventional reasoning. However, this gift can be difficult to integrate into our daily interactions with others. In a world that values concrete evidence and linear thinking, our intuitive insights can seem mysterious or even suspicious to others. We might know that a situation isn't right, or that someone isn't being truthful, but struggle to explain how we've reached these conclusions when asked to provide specific evidence. This disconnect between our intuitive understanding and the world's demand for explicit explanation often leads us to downplay or hide our intuitive abilities. We might learn to present our insights as logical deductions, carefully constructing rational explanations for what we know intuitively. While this helps us communicate more effectively with others, it can feel like denying an essential part of who we are. The burden of empathy when feeling everything becomes too much. The empathic abilities of INFJ go far beyond simple emotional awareness. Our capacity to feel and understand others' emotions is so profound that it can sometimes feel like we're living multiple emotional lives simultaneously. Walking through a crowded space can be like moving through an ocean of feelings, each person's emotional state washing over us in waves that we can't fully block out. This deep empathic connection isn't something we can simply turn off. In any given situation, we're not just processing our own emotional responses, we're also absorbing and analyzing the emotional states of everyone around us. This constant intake of emotional information can be exhausting, leading many INFJ to carefully limit their social exposure and create emotional boundaries as a matter of survival. What makes this particularly challenging is that our empathy isn't just passive observation. When we sense someone's pain or distress, we feel compelled to help, to heal, to make things better. This can lead to emotional burnout if we don't carefully manage our exposure and engagement. We might find ourselves carrying the emotional burdens of others long after interactions have ended, processing their pain and struggles alongside our own. The search for authentic connection beyond surface-level relationships. For INFJ, the quest for authentic connection is both a driving force and a source of profound frustration. We yearn for relationships where we can be fully ourselves, where we don't have to carefully monitor and modulate our intensity, depth, or complexity. However, finding these connections can feel like searching for diamonds in a world that often seems satisfied with cubic zirconia. Our definition of authentic connection goes beyond typical social bonds. We're looking for relationships where we can share our deepest thoughts without fear of judgment, where our intuitive insights are valued rather than dismissed, and where our emotional depth is understood rather than seen as overwhelming. This high standard for connection often leads us to maintain a small circle of close relationships, rather than a wide network of casual acquaintances. The challenge lies in the fact that building these authentic connections requires vulnerability, the very thing many INFJs struggle with most. We must risk showing our true selves with all our complexity and intensity, knowing that not everyone will understand or appreciate what they see. This creates a delicate balance between our desire for genuine connection and our need for self-protection. The internal landscape managing a rich inner world. The inner world of an INFJ is like a vast, complex ecosystem teeming with ideas, insights, emotions, and observations. We spend significant time in this internal landscape, processing our experiences, connecting seemingly unrelated concepts, and developing deep understanding of the patterns we observe in the world around us. This rich inner life is a source of both joy and challenge. Our internal processing is typically far more complex than what we share with others. A simple observation might trigger a cascade of connections, leading us down paths of thought that others might find difficult to follow. We might see links between philosophy and daily life, between ancient wisdom and modern challenges, between personal experience and universal truth. This depth of processing can make it difficult to translate our thoughts into casual conversation. Moreover, our inner world is where we feel most authentically ourselves. It's where we don't have to simplify our thoughts or moderate our emotional responses. This can create a stark contrast between our internal experience and our external presentation, leading to a sense of living a divided life, one rich and complex on the inside, while appearing more conventional on the outside. Finding balance, the journey toward integration. The path to integration for INFJ isn't about completely removing our protective barriers or forcing ourselves to be more extroverted. Instead, it's about finding a sustainable balance between protecting our sensitive nature and sharing our authentic selves with the world. This journey often involves learning to trust our own judgment about when and with whom to share different aspects of ourselves. Integration means developing the confidence to let our true nature show through in appropriate contexts. It's about learning that our depth isn't a liability but a gift, and that our sensitivity isn't weakness but strength. This process often involves finding or creating safe spaces where we can gradually let down our guards and test the waters of authentic self-expression. Part of this journey involves accepting that not everyone will understand or appreciate our true nature, and that's okay. We don't need to be understood by everyone, we just need to find those few kindred spirits who can appreciate our depth and complexity. This realization can be incredibly liberating, freeing us from the pressure to make ourselves universally accessible. The power of selective vulnerability, choosing when to share. One of the most important skills INFJ can develop is the ability to be selectively vulnerable. This means learning to discern when it's appropriate to share our deeper selves and when it's better to maintain our protective boundaries. It's not about being completely open or completely closed, but about developing the wisdom to know which parts of ourselves to share in different contexts. This selective vulnerability allows us to maintain our sensitivity while still engaging meaningfully with the world. We can learn to share our insights in ways that others can understand, to express our emotional depth in contexts where it will be appreciated, and to use our intuitive abilities in ways that benefit others without leaving us feeling exposed or drained. Embracing the INFJ nature. A conclusion. The tendency of INFJ to hide their true selves isn't a flaw that needs to be corrected. It's a natural response to being a deeply sensitive, intuitive person in a world that doesn't always value these qualities. Our challenge isn't to completely change this protective instinct, but to refine it, to make it work for us rather than against us. By understanding and accepting our need for privacy, while gradually learning to share our authentic selves in appropriate ways, we can create a life that honors both our sensitive nature and our desire for meaningful connection. This balance allows us to contribute our unique gifts to the world while maintaining the internal harmony we need to thrive. The world needs what INFJ have to offer: our insight, our empathy, our deep understanding of human nature. By learning to selectively share our true selves while maintaining healthy boundaries, we can fulfill our potential to make a positive impact while staying true to our authentic nature. This isn't just about personal growth, it's about finding our place in the world and making our unique contribution in a way that feels genuine and sustainable. Remember, the goal isn't to completely remove the mask, it's to learn when it's safe and beneficial to lower it, and with whom. In doing so, we can create a life that honors both our need for protection and our desire for authentic connection, allowing us to share our gifts with the world while maintaining our inner peace and integrity.